Mm. Hey, babe. What's going on, you guys? It's Jamie, that's me here. And I want to talk about Carmelo Anthony. I came to you guys recently regarding this story with Anthony and Metcalf, and that's Austin Metcalf, the young man that lost his life. And for those people that may not be aware, there was an incident that took place at a school track meet on April 2nd, I do believe. And it was out in Frisco, Texas. And from what I'm understanding, is that there was some altercation, some words being exchanged between Austin Metcalf as well as Carmelo Anthony, and it resulted in Carmelo fatally stabbing Austin Metcalf, who happened to be a twin as well. Now they're saying the altercation happened when Metcalf approached Carmelo under the tent of his school's tent, and he's like, "Yo, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be over here. This ain't your section. This ain't your area. Whatever the case, like leave." And they're saying they have witnesses that overheard Carmelo say, "Listen, um, touch me and see what happens." I do believe that there was more conversation from the witnesses that may have taken place between that time of Austin saying what he said to Carmelo and Carmelo saying, "Touch me and see what happens." I feel like there could have been a lot of conversation, but what the media outlets are highlighting is the fact that Carmelo said, "Touch me and see what happens." Okay. They're saying that he retrieved a knife from his book bag and ended up stabbing this young man in the chest. I believe he stabbed him in the heart and he ended up dying on the scene, from my understanding. And some of that stuff is just a bit confusing to me because when you listen to Austin's brother, his twin brother, tell the story of what happened, he kind of says that Austin grabbed Carmelo's book bag. So my question then becomes, at what point did Austin grab Carmelo's book bag to the point where Carmelo was able to grab his book bag and retrieve a knife from it? So there are a lot of details that are missing um in this particular situation here. Actually, I want us to listen and hear what Austin's brother had to say. I believe his name is Hunter. I want us to listen to what Hunter said took place at the track meet or whatever. So let us get into what he has to say.
There was this kid, before I knew his name now, this kid was sitting under our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking reckless. And my brother stepped in and said, "You need to move." He's like, "Make me move." Austin grabbed his backpack. The kid, I tried to whip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see the stab. But then I looked at my brother, and then I'm not going to talk about the rest. So.
Now, what they're saying is that Austin passed away in the arms of his brother Hunter. Okay, I believe Hunter was trying to stop the bleeding or whatnot, and unfortunately, it was too late. I can imagine what he's going through, having lost a person that's been there with you your entire life, celebrating your birthdays together and everything. So I don't want to discount any of his grief or whatever he's dealing with at this time. But what I will also say is that there are details missing from this story, and we won't really get all of the details until there is an actual trial that takes place. So yeah, a lot of people have been saying that this is not a race or racial situation, but that's all they've been making it is a race situation. People have been comparing Carmelo Anthony's situation to Kyle Rittenhouse and how he was able to get off for murdering people at a protest, whereas they felt that Kyle was defending himself, whereas when it comes to Carmelo Anthony, he wasn't defending himself and he intended to kill Austin in cold blood, which is what, some people have been trying to allege. But, we don't know. They feel like he came to that particular event with a knife with the intent to kill this young man. But we're not necessarily sure. I don't think that is true, but I also don't know. What I also find to be interesting is that Hunter made it appear as though they did not know this young man. So if you didn't know him or know his name, why would your brother feel so comfortable to approach a person and say, "Hey, you're not supposed to be here. What are you doing under that tent?" So I do think there are some details that we are going to learn, some stuff that we need to find out because things are definitely a bit shaky. But in the meantime, we are going to continue to listen to a few more seconds of what Mr. Hunter has to say. All right.
So
Yeah.
that's just what I saw, and I try to help him, but We come back, we sit down, and this kid said something behind me. I've never met this kid in my entire life, never knew who he was. Said something just inappropriate and uncalled for, and I turned around and asked him who he was. He started getting really aggressive. My brother stepped in. He started being, how he always is with me, just brothers, just having my back, and things started getting more like higher intensity. And the kid said some like aggressive stuff, like reckless stuff, and also try to handle the problem. And there was
Interesting. Okay. So seems like I don't, maybe he just is having, you know, I'm just thinking about his storytelling of the situation because it is giving a bit of two different stories, and I don't want to make it feel as though he's lying, because maybe he's recalling events differently or something. Maybe when he was initially interviewed, he didn't think of this, and then more things are starting to come to him as he recalls, because he says Karmelo was under the tent. His brother approached him, told him he need to get from under the tent. At no point did Hunter say that he had anything to do with him. He just said his brother told him out, hey, you got to get from up under here. He said, okay, touch me, see what happens, whatever the case. So then now we hear another interview with Hunter, and Hunter is saying that the guy was sitting behind him. He didn't know who he was, and then he turned around. He said he was just saying some really interesting things, and so he turned around and was like, who are you, or what's your name, or something. He's continuing to say that he doesn't know the young man. His brother shows up, and he's trying to defend him or support him the best way he can, or whatever, doing what a brother does. So I don't know, I just feel like, again, when you have stories like this, more and more details are going to come out. It's just like a little bit, it's going to be a little bit more, all right, that's going to be coming out. Now, since the passing of Austin, I do believe they are going to be having, if they haven't already had, a memorial service for Austin that will be taking place. Also, his family has taken to a GoFundMe to ask for, support for the family as they work through this time. All right. The dad did start a GoFundMe. He says his son Austin was tragically stabbed today at a school track meet. They were not able to save him. He was a bright young man with a great future ahead of him. He was a leader of men. His smile would light up the room. His passion for football was unbelievable. Voted team MVP this past season and carried a 4.0 GPA. He was looking forward to taking his game to the next level. His commitment, dedication, leadership, and sheer grit made him rise to the level of success that he desired. His twin brother Hunter played beside him. We will all remember him for the way he impacted others' lives. I love you forever, son. It's not goodbye. See you later. God will take care of us till we meet again. Rest in peace, Dad. Now, this is very sad. Very, very sad to get your kids this far, for them to be excelling in all areas, and then to lose them so tragically is really sad. And I do feel bad for this family for losing a son. And I really hate that so many lives are going to be impacted from a decision that one made, whether it was because they needed to defend themselves or whatever. And it's not really just what one person made, what a few people made in this in this moment. And I really feel for both families, not gonna hold you. I really do. It's really sad. What I have noticed is that, his family started to GoFundMe, and it seems like whenever they reach their goal, they raise the money up. Like at one point, I remember seeing specifically where the goal, they said was like 250,000, and then the dad raised it to 270,000. Now that goal has gone beyond that moment, and it's 350,000, and he's raised the goal to 370,000. And I don't know why that's so weird to me, but it is. If anybody feels a way about that, you're entitled to feel how you feel, as such as I. Which is why I'm like, like it's one thing to reach your goal and people continue to donate because that's what they're gonna do. But what is the reason for continuing to change it every time the goal is met? It's like I guess you're encouraging people to continue to send them in. I have no doubt that they're going to need some of that money, but I know they won't need it towards a defense because the state is going to defend them. But maybe they're just going to need it because people may be taking off from work to grieve during this time, to continue to keep the household flowing and going, and also to possibly set up some type of memorial funds or something, maybe scholarships. I don't know. in the name of Austin, and even to assist and help with Hunter going off to college. Not necessarily sure, but the constant changing of it is a bit like, huh? Okay. But yeah, so they've been, a lot of people have been showing that family a lot of support, financial support via GoFundMe. And Carmelo and his people, or people that are supporting Carmelo, has tried to have GoFundMe's for him, but they continue to be knocked down. All right, because a lot of people are seeing him as a murderer. Right, a lot of people are seeing him as a murderer, not as a person that was defending himself, as some people may see. And so they continue to knock down his GoFundMe's every time someone tried to put it up. So they decided to go over to another site, and I believe that site was called Go Send. Let me make sure that I have that. I want to make sure that I have that name right. It was Go Send something, and I'll have to look that up. All right, correction. It's called Give, Send, Go. All right. And I feel like they have also done the same thing, similar to what Austin's dad has done, which is once they meet a goal, they're upgrading it. Okay. Because at one point the goal was lower than 500,000 from what I saw when it first started. Now their goal is set at 500,000. And at this point they've raised $431,000 in an effort to support this young man. So I feel like that also says a lot, because a ton of people are feeling as though he is not so much as innocent, because Carmelo was quoted by the police saying that it wasn't alleged and that he did do it, but he did not know that Austin died. He thought he would be okay. He just thought that he harmed him to get a bump off of him or whatever. But yeah, so a lot of people not saying that he's a victim in this situation, but they feel like he was well within his right, withstanding his ground and defending himself in that moment. So he's gotten a lot of support. So between the families, Carmelo has raised over $430,000, and Austin's family at this time has raised over $370,000. I'm sorry, $350,000. So that is what's taking place between them at this time. Now, they are reporting that at this time, Carmelo is out. All right. You guys know that he did have a $1 million bond. He went into jail at that time. He had a bond that was set at $1 million. Now we're learning what we learned earlier on, that his attorney was going to try to get that money lowered, all right, get that bond lowered. And the attorney actually achieved that. I believe he got the bond lowered from $1 million to $250,000. All right. Just letting you guys know. I was really surprised to hear that. And, I believe based on Supreme Court law, I don't think that Carmelo will be charged as an adult because he was 17 at the time. Unless some things change, it appears that he may be charged as a juvenile child, or whatever the case is, for this particular crime. And, yeah, so I believe with that, he won't be sentenced to death, and he likely won't get life without parole or something. So we'll have to see how this is going to play out. I don't know. I mean, I was listening to some attorneys talk about it, and even one mentioned that it could be potentially manslaughter. They said that this case, depending on details, could potentially not even go before a jury. Who knows? I don't know. And when I hear that it may not go before a jury, I feel like the judge could make the determination of what's going to happen if it's not done in front of a jury. So we'll see. But I am looking at this article where they're saying family of quote unquote killer. This is what the Sun is, the Sun is quoting it at, quoting Carmelo as the killer. All right. At one point, they let's just keep going, because the Sun can be pretty salacious as well. So they're saying family of killer Carmelo Anthony to buy new house and security with donated $430,000 as he's freed in the Austin Metcalf murder. All right. So that's what they're saying. They go on to say Carmelo Anthony walked out of jail silently, surrounded by his family on Monday, who posted his $250,000 bond after a judge agreed to lower it from $1 million. All right. They're saying Anthony is charged with fatally stabbing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf in the stands at a track meet on April 2nd. He is now on house arrest where he'll be required to wear an ankle monitor and stay inside his parents' home. Over $420,000 had been donated to Anthony's family in an online fundraiser for the alleged killer after he reportedly faced racist threats following Metcalf's murder. All right. They're saying during the judge's ruling on Monday, prosecutors asked Anthony's dad why he couldn't use that donated money to pay the original bond to release his son from jail. Andrew Anthony responded that the money was going to be used for his son's legal defense. He also said the cash would be used for security to protect Anthony after he reportedly received racist threats since the stabbing. Andrew also said the family plans to move into a new house for extra safety. All right. They're saying defense attorneys insisted the money raised only is not the money raised online is not a bond fund, that the family needs the funds to get by because Anthony's dad is currently on leave from his job. All right. So I don't know if the dad decided to take a leave from work due to this situation, or if the job decided to release him or put him on leave due to this situation. All right. But either way, this family needs to be able to survive, says their defense attorney. There's been a tremendous amount of pressure. I think at this point, living in a gated community, giving everything, the safety of their younger children is very warranted. So they may put their house up for sale and go and move into a new home. Who knows? All right. They're saying security details and criminal defense are not cheap. All right. Megan Metcalf, who's Austin's mom, put her head down and cried when the judge ruled to reduce Anthony's bond on Monday. Anthony's lawyers originally asked prosecutors to reduce his bond to $150,000, saying $1 million was too high because the teen had never been in trouble before. All right, they go on. And that's interesting. I do understand the mom holding her head down and, feeling like a person that harmed her child doesn't get to, have to deal with the consequences of being locked up and all of that. But what's also interesting is the dad. I believe it was the dad. I also feel like it was the mom as well. But they also went on talking about how they forgive this young man for what he did. They do forgive him for what he did. So I don't know, but it's possible to forgive a person for unaliving your child, but also dealing with the hurt. That's likely why she may have put her head down. The fact that, so it's like, do you really forgive or you don't? Okay. And if you don't, I feel like that's kind of okay, but just don't say that you do if you don't. So they go on to say that while prosecutors have charged Anthony with first degree murder, the alleged killer is insisting he stabbed Metcalf in self defense. All right. They say Anthony took out a knife and stabbed him in the chest during a fight in the stands at a stadium. All right. So that's what they're saying. According to an arrest report, Anthony told a school official that Metcalf put his hands on him when cops referred to Anthony as the alleged suspect. And Anthony said, "I'm not alleged. I did it." All right. Now they're also showing him leaving jail as well. And I want us to get into that really quickly because he is leaving out, as he has been released on $250,000 bond. So
17-year-old Karmelo Anthony was silent after bonding out of the Collin County Jail and being placed on house arrest.
How is this self-defense?
2 days after the family of Austin Metcalf buried their son, they were at the Collin County Courthouse for a bond reduction hearing Monday. Karmelo Anthony is accused of stabbing and killing Metcalf at a Frisco track meet earlier this month. The case has quickly become national news, drawing a lot of attention, resulting in threats and increased security at the courthouse.
Now, what I have to do is let me go back here. And this is what I was telling you guys about the other day. So they're saying this stuff happened under the tent. So did the fight take place going up the stairs? Because where this blue tarp is laying, in my opinion, and they have the yellow tape saying this is a crime scene, I was talking to a friend and they were saying, well, they said the weapon was under there. Yeah, the weapon's probably under there along with the body of Austin. Okay. So with this blue covering, I'm wondering if his body is literally laying here as well. So if that's the case, how did they get from under the tent all the way up to the stands? So again, it's just little things like that that leads me to believe that there are so much more details that are being left out, and we're not going to find out until a later time. I'm sure there may be some people that actually witnessed this that are continuing to talk. I mean, obviously they spoke with the cops and they said that they did hear where Austin said, "Touch me again," or "touch me," shall I say, "touch me and see what happens." So yeah, I don't know if he meant like "touch me, see what happens," meaning I'm gonna whoop your ass, because that could have meant that he was just gonna fight him. "Touch me and see what's happening. I'm gonna knock your head off. I'm gonna do this or that or whatever." And it got so bad to a point where he just pulled out and he hit him. But my question is, where was the knife? They're saying that it was in his book bag, but when did he have time to actually go in his book bag and get that knife out? Or was it already in his pocket or something? Right? And then you're saying that the hunter is saying that he never knew who the guy was, but he heard him saying vulgar things. So for you to turn around and be like, like, "Well, who are you?" Da 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 da. Was he saying things to you that were vulgar? Like, what was he saying that made you want to turn around and have any type of interaction with him? And obviously you guys had a exchange of words, but you're saying that you didn't know him. And I'm wondering, well, did y'all know him? Did y'all? I mean, like, what was he saying? Because I don't know. I mean, I just feel like it's a lot of questions surrounding this, and not excusing anything that Anthony has done as far as unaliving this young man. But I truly don't know. He may have been acting in self-defense, and then he may not have been. There are just so many more details to come out, and we'll just have to wait and see. But at this particular time, he is home with his family, and I guess they're making steps for the next thing to come. I don't think this case is going to be resolved this year, but I think we're going to learn more details, because whatever charges they have on him, I would not be surprised if the charges got dropped just like the bond got dropped. All right, because I believe he was initially charged with was it felony murder or something? Let me see. Karmelo. I want to see what his what he was charged with first. Like I said, so it appears that he was charged with first-degree murder, but I do believe that those charges can be, of course, it's possible for those charges to get lowered. If self-defense does make sense and the evidence points towards self-defense, then he probably could get the case dismissed completely. Or he could get it lowered to potentially maybe second-degree murder, or I don't know, maybe even manslaughter of some sort. We would have to see. But the fact that the bond was lowered from $1 million to $250,000 makes me think those charges probably gonna end up getting lowered as well. But I guess that depends on the arguments that both attorneys make as they, approach the judge with it. So we'll just have to wait and see. But at this time, this young man is free to go while the other family is having to plan the funeral of their son. All right. So you guys leave your thoughts and comments down below of the matter at hand. And that's all that I have for you guys at this time. Of course, I'm Jami, that's me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Yeah, tell him I preach to the choir. Stand with my feet to the fire. Give all the glory to God. Stand in the midst of these haters, I'm silent, nobody can stop me. Just gotta check in my notification, them numbers hit like it's a praxis. Cashed out at the ATM, and the ATL, they done made a gym. I've been kicking doors like the ATF, got them trying to clone me like Agent Smith. Game time, I invaded gym, high elevated, I can face the rim. Putting shots up, I got laser focus, about to take it over, I'm Invader Zim. On a trip to Florida like it's A&M. Who that nigga, man, they say I'm him. Spit the truth, never wasting film, I can feel it pull